somebody from our group who was in the walk clicked a photo and said peak Bangalore moment looking for mushrooms in Carbon Park with Nikhil Kamath. If you ask me what is the size of the mushroom market in India, I've done the math. It says 0.8 billion. But if you use 3 different methods, you will find the numbers don't match. In entrepreneurship, वो dynamic equilibrium create होता है where your work and your life दोनों मिल जाते हैं.
I mean, people say that you have to be passionate about something to start something.
Like it has to be a mix of passion, but also why are you doing it?
Last year, एक पूरा room जल गया.
And the products are also in that
Yes, it was
room.
growing.
3 things that you both have learned from your entrepreneurial journey. So hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Money Mint with Aditya. Today we have Jashid and Prithvi, the co-founders of Nuvedo. I hope everyone has seen them on Shark Tank, but today we will be talking about how they have built the brand and what they are doing currently and what's their future plan. So first of all, thank you guys for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Aditya, for having us.
Yeah, and they have came from Bangalore. First, I would like to talk about your background. Like, what's your background? How the idea of Nuvedo came to your mind?
Okay.
So yeah.
So Prithvi, you want to start?
Yeah, so Nuvedo actually started with the idea of working with food.
Okay.
We wanted to kind of get into the food space. Both of us were in different spaces. He was in fast fashion, I was in deep tech.
Okay.
So we wanted something that was more aligned with our values, where we had, we could work with the land and understand. So we volunteered across farms for about almost a year, and us time, we were also trying a lot of these mushroom extracts from our friends who had gifted it to us. So happened that we were trying to understand food. We were trying these mushroom extracts, and at COVID hit.
Okay.
Yeah.
तो उस टाइम पे क्या हुआ, ये जो हम यूज कर रहे थे मशरूम एक्सट्रैक्ट, वो एक्चुअली इम्यून सिस्टम वाला एक्सट्रैक्ट था, एंड वी हैड बीन यूजिंग दैट फॉर सम टाइम एंड वी वर बिग फैंस ऑफ दैट प्रोडक्ट. ठीक है. और उस टाइम में कोई आइडिया नहीं था कि मतलब मशरूम उगाना है,
कोई बिजनेस करना है इसमें.
नहीं, खाली हमें ये पता था कि समथिंग रिलेटेड टू नेचर एंड फार्मिंग एंड वेलनेस वो इंटरसेक्शन में होना चाहिए.
Right.
एंड इट जस्ट हैपेंड दैट वो जो प्रोडक्ट हमारे साथ था, जो यूएसए से मैन्युफैक्चर होके आया था, वो खत्म हो गया.
Okay.
And we needed it the most at that time, right?
Okay.
Then it was okay, Amazon में मिल सकता है क्या?
इंडिया में कैसे
सोर्स कर सकता है, कौन बना रहा है, प्रोडक्ट सही है. देन वी ट्राइड सम इंडियन ब्रांड्स, वो मतलब कोई इफेक्ट नहीं आया उसमें से,
क्वालिटी वो मैच नहीं हो पाया.
एग्जैक्टली. तो इट वाज जस्ट लाइक वी वर इन द राइट प्लेस एट द राइट टाइम. सही टाइम पे वो कनेक्शन मिला, और फिर ये बिजनेस का आइडिया उधर से ही आया, फिर हम उसको डेवलप किया.
और जब when we got into mushrooms, we realized though growing mushrooms, it fits a lot of the sustainability and circular economy values that we wanted. Like ये agricultural waste पे grow होता है, और उसके बाद it's all of it, all the nutrients that come from it are very unique to mushrooms. वो plant kingdom में नहीं होता है. So there were many things about working with mushrooms also that helped us say, okay, this is where we want.
Because it's sustainable, it's circular, ज़्यादा waste नहीं होता उसमें, बहुत water efficient है, soil less है, vertically scalable है, तो जो भी
benefits.
Yeah, all the benefits were pretty much there, and it's also we were able to find that intersection between food and wellness, because there are mushrooms which have medicinal properties.
Right.
तो वो थोड़ा उस टाइम पे वो यूरेका मोमेंट आया, and then we started exploring it, and then this brand came out of it.
Okay, one question is, I mean, people say that you have to be passionate about something to start something.
Right.
So you would say, I know that sustainability was your passion, but how it came about mushroom?
Right.
So I want to know the reason, like why a mushroom only?
So I feel like you need to be passionate about something, and I feel like we are passionate about nature and health, right?
Right.
And those are very broad areas. Right?
Yeah.
And inside that, mushrooms just happen to fit all the criteria.
Okay. Because you were already using it.
Yeah.
You were already aware of the properties, and you thought, why not?
Right.
And also to understand what you want from this, like if you're going into a space and you as an entrepreneur, you want to choose this line, what are you getting from it? So is it just to make money?
Correct.
Are you going there for a lifestyle change? Are you doing it? You have to understand for yourself, and that's different for everybody.
Correct.
So for us, it was lifestyle. It was to do with, this impact. It was community. It was so many things that we were getting. So you can't say that it was one thing, but passion is not the only thing. Like it has to be a mix of what passion, but also why are you doing it? You know,
I think why is very important.
Yeah.
It can be problem solving also. It
You
can
could-
be variety of things.
yeah. So
Right, and as it should make you feel alive, for us at least. That was the main thing of we wanted to use our time here. See, all of us are here for some time, and we want to use it well so that we can leave behind something for the future generations. So that was always the thought process. And mushrooms just happened to sort of find us because when we were building something, it was very clear to us that we are doing this for a triple bottom line, right? It's not just profit. Firstly, it's the people. We want to do something which is good for the people, good for humanity, for society. Secondly, it's the planet. We want to give back
Right.
in some way to heal the environment or reduce the damage that we are doing to it just by sort of living here, right? And then after all this, if money is being made, then great.
Why not?
But the main objective was to help heal the planet and the people on it because we are sick, we are getting more and more away from nature,
Exactly.
and that separation is causing a lot of discomfort in many ways.
Right.
So this bridge we wanted to be essentially through Nuvedo.
Right. People say that if you are passionate about something, your work would not be your work, it would be fun.
Right.
So is that so for you guys?
Oh yes, yeah,
Okay.
it's a lot of fun. I think
Okay.
sometimes I wonder how did 3-4 years pass like this.
Right.
But yeah, every day is a lot of learning. There's so much to grow with, and coming every day and looking at it as a new lens and saying this is how we want to approach it. So I think it's been very exciting, and I think fun is always it's our up and down, right? So you have fun, but then there are the downs. And then
It's a roller coaster.
it's a roller coaster. So you have to be open to that, I think.
It's like बोलते हैं ना work life balance होना चाहिए. I feel like in entrepreneurship वो dynamic equilibrium create होता है where your work and your life दोनों मिल जाते हैं.
Merge हो जाता है, exactly.
दोनों merge हो जाता है. If you try to separate it too much, then you're creating that
Friction.
Yeah, stress.
Right.
This is work, this is play, and I'm not doing enough of this. I'm not. Then वो stress आ जाता है कि भाई बहुत इधर हो रहा है, बहुत उधर हो रहा है. I think the gift that we had was to able to play by bringing work and life into one and finding a balance while
In
doing
that.
that.
Yeah.
But it's not always fun, man.
I understand.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, people need to understand that it's not always fun.
No.
मजा आता है.
Exactly.
Building is great, ideating is great, but once the product is out there, to get it out, and this
lot of-
right, and we are not just a tech company, we're growing things.
Hmm.
एक दिन लाइट चला गया. For example, last year एक पूरा रूम जल गया. शॉर्ट सर्किट होके एक पूरा रूम जल गया.
And the products were also in that.
Yes, it was
room.
growing. We had mushrooms growing in that,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
तो फिर रिकैलिब्रेट करना पड़ता है. बंद तो नहीं कर सकता.
Exactly.
Right? We have to stop. We have to take.
Down.
Yeah, we have to take it into consideration. We have to pull up your socks and move on. आगे बढ़ो बस. तब तो रोक तो नहीं सकता इसको. Mushrooms will not sleep on Sunday. They are growing every day.
Right.
So it is fun, but there are times when it's extremely stressful.
Right.
But it's worth it. It's your own journey. It's something that we signed up for, and we won't change it.
So how did you guys meet? And I mean, I know that you guys are together, but does that, change the dynamic of how you guys work together?
Great question.
So we met about 7 years ago on a dating app, and yeah, I mean it was pretty straightforward. We of course then had no plans about what Nuvedo was going to be.
Yeah, it's not like we started dating and like company start
Start
साथ में.
No, it was not like that. I think it was just that happened along the way. But coming to kind of working and doing business, one thing that really helped us was COVID, because in COVID we were stuck together. We had just started the brand and we were stuck and we had to figure out how to work together.
Because there was no play in COVID, there was only work.
Work, exactly.
Right?
You can't go out, you can't do anything.
कुछ कर नहीं सकता घर पे. तो we were building something. It was the peak of that 0 to 1 journey, and we were in each other's face
All the time.
all the time.
So it was a very good, I think you can say crash course in saying, this is how we work, these are our styles, this is what you like to do, this is what I like to do. And of course, there was a lot of friction, but that COVID, I would say, you can call it a
Crash course.
yeah. helped us really figure out, okay, now once all this is done and we're going to go into our journey, this is, this is how we would like to be.
And the beauty I feel is that दोनों के जो skill sets है वो complementary है.
Right.
Prithvi is very much an execution person. I am more, what do you say, process, building systems, right? SOPs and all that. And she's the person who takes that and gets it on the ground. I am always striving for perfection, whereas Prithvi is trying to get things off the list, right? So
May not be perfect.
Yeah, but I feel like
that's important.
It's a very good thing, because if it was just me, I would just sit and wait till I get that perfect moment. But startups don't work like that. You build, you iterate, you fail, you fix, and you build again.
And the speed is very important.
Yes.
Very, very critical, right?
You have to, I think एक बात है कि you have to keep moving ahead. You can't say, oh, this didn't work. Okay, fine, let's move on. Let's see what we can figure out.
For example, one of your room got burned out.
Exactly.
That doesn't mean you have to stop.
No.
You still have to, keep iterating, like what's next, how we can fix that.
Yeah.
Exactly. हुआ कैसे? आगे कैसे? What can we do to make sure that doesn't happen again, right? So these are I think some things that we learned on the way, and I feel like something that definitely helped us was COVID के बीच में we did an art project. So both of us are also artists. We love to work with different media. And whenever we have free time, we try to sort of experiment and get back into that side, the creative side of ours. So we did a project together, and
hopefully we'll put it out this year.
Yeah, and it's been under the table, literally under the bed for years now. It's never seen the light of day. And these are all small pieces of paper where we were doing a collaborative art piece, where we would both draw at the same time. Right?
So also navigating or negotiating that discussion to say, this is how I like to do it. He would say, no, let's plan the whole shit.
I'm planning it, and Prithvi's like, I just want to start and see where this goes. Right?
So small things like this, I think, even when two founders come together or co-founders, I think try something that's not related to the business to also see how you gel, how things work within you. Because fine, we might be together, but our work, when we get into work, we're different people, right? So how do you actually navigate, negotiate? What are the questions that come? How do you fight? It's very important.
Conflict resolution mechanism or communication, बहुत important है. I feel that's the foundation of a great working relationship, because conflict तो healthy है, होना चाहिए.
Exactly.
अगर conflict नहीं हो रहा है तो something is going wrong and you are not realizing, right? तो conflict तो होगा ही होगा, अच्छा है, पर खाली आपको वो mechanism होना चाहिए कि कैसे उसको resolve करे. And for somebody who's in a relationship, right? It has to be first established for us. We had to establish that this is not personal.
Exactly.
Right? And prioritize the relationship over everything else. And work-wise, the company is above me or Prithvi, above both of us. And whatever we are going to do is to support this idea. Right? And there is nothing personal about this.
How much time it took you from ideation to product development to market fit?
Right.
I want to understand the journey.
Yeah.
And the time it took.
So I feel like ideation के लिए तो time तो लगा था, 1 साल के आसपास लगा था ideation के लिए. फिर product to launch it took another year. एक पूरा साल लगा पूरा launch करने में.
And you guys were working at that time?
We were
fully committed to
this. Right? Team was very small. It was 3 of us. It was Prithvi, me, and our friend Srikanth who was handling marketing. And the advantage we had that Prithvi has done like 0 to 1 twice already. Right? In her previous startup. So some of these things are not new to us. So we were more focused on building the brand and doing the research. Idea ठीक है. Everything is great. But फिर validate करना पड़ता है. So we spoke to almost 2,000 people to get, through surveys and through personal interviews.
Before launching
to build the brand.
And to understand what do people want. Fine, if we're really saying we want to, it to help people, what do they want? Like, it's not for us to build something. We're also building a brand for people. Yeah.
And that's what a lot of folks don't understand is that you build something for the customer. You're not building this for yourself. The idea is great in your head. Right? It might sound excellent, but do people need this? Will they buy this? If you want to sell it to them, how do you sell this? So your customer segmentation, your internal customer profile, the brand voice, the brand identity, all of these things took a lot of time, and we had multiple iterations of this till we came down on a design language, a brand voice, all of these things which worked for us, and we identified the core target audience also through that. Did the customer segmentation. ये सब करने में काफी टाइम लगा. फिर
But I think it's very important.
100%.
Oh, yeah.
100%.
People don't realize is that you were talking about it took 1 year for the ideation. People were like, how can it be? But that's what it is, right?
Yeah.
You have to go to market, you have to talk to people, you
Yeah.
have to iterate your idea according to the feedback you get.
Correct.
So it takes time. So that's what I'm trying to say to the audience.
Especially if you're in category creation.
Ah,
See,
okay,
some places
yeah.
speed is very important. Like you said, when we said it, you have to move.
Hmm.
But we were in the space where we are building something from scratch,
New
which
category.
people had no idea about.
Right.
It's
Right.
okay, like maybe if you're doing, say, another a SaaS,
Yeah.
fine. Maybe there's another brand like that. You can take inspiration from that and build. But in our space, it's like it's new, it's blank slate. So
Exactly.
you have to really take the time to say this is what it is.
And it's also a big responsibility because, see, it's exciting because you have 1 billion people in this country and you have found a niche that nobody has touched. And now you have the chance to shape the narrative in that full category. Right? So it's very exciting, but also it's your responsibility because if you make a mistake, if you position your brand wrong or you say the wrong things, all the brands who are going to come after you are going to suffer at some level because of your mistake. Right? So I feel like it was a very exciting journey. The first part of just ideating and building the brand, we spent a lot of time in branding and marketing and the visuals.
Okay.
Because we knew that if you're building something that people don't know about, it's a very visual. We live in a very visual world.
Right. Exactly.
So it has the packaging and the branding and the design language have to speak to the customer before us. It has to earn that trust.
Right.
Right? So we spend time doing it. And I feel the next stage was launching. Then the real fun starts where you come to face a lot of things that you didn't think about.
Exactly.
We didn't think that the shipping cost was going to go so high. Right? Because
So these boxes and all that mushroom growing kit.
because 1 kilo का box है कितना पैसे लगेगा, but ये volumetric हो गया suddenly.
Volumetric चला गया. Exactly.
Right? और बड़ा box था. And suddenly we are seeing that all our margins have gone now. Full calculation that we did was gone. And we didn't preempt this. Then we had to find a loophole in that. तो हमने क्या किया? We moved to India Post.
Okay.
And we were delivering a lot of the parcels ourselves. So many
In the beginning,
things
yeah.
in the beginning when we started.
Right.
So when the product came into the market, which was the growing kit, then this was like a go-to-market strategy for us.
Right.
Ki how do we target the mushroom lovers? How do we create a buzz in the market? By giving them a novel experience. Right? So that we can launch our next product, which is the extracts, to a community which is already a fan of mushrooms. They have had a trust with us.
Right.
So that was...
I think that's a pretty smart strategy, right? That
Yeah.
you are going to a customer first with this kit because they love to grow mushrooms, and then you have built a trust or relationship with the customer.
Absolutely.
And then you are trying to upsell or give them different products which are they definitely need in their lifestyle.
और इससे काफी बेनिफिट है क्योंकि ये जो बॉक्स है एक तो ये अच्छा दिखता है तो ऑलरेडी वो क्यूरियोसिटी आ गया कि मतलब ये है क्या चीज फिर ये लेके जाएगा 10 दिन में मशरूम उगता है इसके अंदर से
Right? I have seen the video. It's pretty good, man.
And it's such a good, honestly, more than anything else, it's a really good learning experience. The people don't really get the experience to grow mushrooms ever in their life. They've probably only grown plants, So just to kind of build that curiosity, to build that awareness of the space and kind of create a more aware audience. And it's not one, of course, yeah, I mean, even if we had not launched the extracts, for example, they took time. Just this kit especially has changed so many people's perception about mushrooms. They've realized that acha, it's so clean, that's how it grows, it doesn't grow in the dirt. It changed a lot of misconceptions about the way we were even looking at it. So mushrooms then also become less things that people are not scared.
Intimidating.
Yes.
Right.
डरते हैं लोग मशरूम से
So
क्योंकि
from
बोलते हैं
that-
बहुत जहरीला है खा के मर जाएगा या you will feel sick या नॉन वेजिटेरियन है. This box took care of all those things.
I think in today's generation, it's people are adopting to mushroom.
Right.
I have friends who are eating it regularly, and I mean adoption is coming,
100%.
and so is the market size will definitely increase for
And
this kind of.
this also, what it does is, from a brand perspective, it creates an engagement where suddenly ये उग गया. Then now you're curious कि कैसे खाना है इसके साथ, कब हार्वेस्ट करना है, आगे क्या होगा, तो ब्रांड को रीच आउट करता है. Now we have a communication, direct communication with the customer where we can show our expertise in our customer service, in our product knowledge, give them an even better experience of the product, right? So all of these things happened with this one box. But again, like I said, it came with its own set of challenges. What we didn't realize was we have so many pin codes with so many climatic conditions.
Right.
And एक season के बाद हर जगह गर्मी होता है. Then there are only some 5 places in India where this mushroom was growing. Then we had to quickly iterate and figure out, okay, we have these 3-4 mushrooms in our culture bank जो 40 degrees के ऊपर ग्रो कर सकता है, पर इसका ग्रो किट किसी ने बनाया नहीं है, दुनिया में किसी ने नहीं बनाया अभी तक, बट वी हैव द थियोरेटिकल नॉलेज दैट इसको हम उगा सकते हैं. Then fast 3-4 months of again iterating, fixing things, designing, and then we came out with 2-3 kits which are heat tolerant. Right. Then we put a widget on the website where you enter your pin code with the temperature. It will tell you what product to buy. So these are the things that happened in the, what do you say, launch phase before we could even say that we had a product market fit for the growing kit. Right. It took some time.
I would say like 2.5 years it took.
Absolutely. Right? So I think after launching, it took us another 2 years to actually say that we have nailed this product. Right. And even now, there are things that come back. So it's a constant journey and work in progress.
Right. And the design is it's pretty nice. So who among you have designed this?
So actually, we have a very talented person with us. Her name is Shikha.
She's the head of design. Shikha Usgaonkar is the head of design at Nuvedo.
Yeah, she used to work with Jashid earlier in a previous company, and this is like become her baby. So she's very passionate about kind of creating new kind of products, and her vision was that it has to be something that people feel excited about. You know, but also is something that it communicates seriousness of like what mushrooms can do, easy to, use packaging where it's not too difficult to figure out.
Intuitive.
Yeah. Right. So these are some, so design wise, you can say that, it's her, but of course we've contributed a lot towards like the way communicate, like the words we write, the kind of things. Yeah.
So I feel like we took all the research from the customers. We figured out what the brand language and what is the feeling and the emotion that needs to be communicated through the packaging. And when we gave Shikha the brief, she nailed it. Right. She came back to us with this and we had nothing to say. Right. And the beauty of this, I think folks in the design space would be able to appreciate. She broke lot of rules. अगर आप इसके सामने देखोगे तो काफी हमने लेफ्ट अलाइन किया है फॉन्ट. राइट. डिजाइन वाले नोटिस करते हैं इसको, पर बाकी लोगों को स्ट्राइक होता है, पर वी डोंट रियलाइज व्हेन वी सी इट व्हाई वी आर गेटिंग अट्रैक्टेड. इट्स because Shikha has done unconventional things that generally people don't do.
Okay, so let's talk about the market size.
Right.
In your initial research, what was your market size for the mushroom, and how did you go about it?
See, this is again a really tricky question now. Because I come from an MBA background, right? So all these guesstimates and market sizing and things are things that we are taught for placements. करना पड़ता है, सीखना पड़ता है, right? When I started doing this, especially since it's a new category, you need to take out proxy numbers. You have to find out, okay, you have to make some assumptions. Right. But these are still just estimates, especially because this category is new. Right. If you ask me what is the size of the mushroom market in India, I've done the math. It says 0.8 billion, right? But if you take 10 different reports, 0.8 billion for India, growing at 11% CAGR, right? I have all the numbers ready. But if you use 3 different methods, top down, bottom up, you will find the numbers don't match.
Exactly.
Then if you look at the government reports, those numbers are different. If you look at all these market insight companies, which are mostly what will come up on Google if you search for
it,
that is also something totally different, right? So what is the market size? According to my calculation in India, it's around 0.8 billion. And this was a bottom up calculation. And this is not the market size, it's a market potential.
Market potential.
Yeah. and the globe, and specifically in the space of functional mushrooms. And the global market right now, according to the reports, it's around 33 billion US dollars.
30
Yeah.
I mean, it's a pretty big market if you
Globally now, yeah, for sure. I think India is still picking up, but globally it is pretty mature, especially in places like US, UK, Australia. So people, like medicinal mushrooms have been around. People have been, a lot of brands have come up. Last maybe 4 years ago or something, they had something called a shroom boom.
In the US.
Yeah, so there were so many companies that kind of cropped up and everybody was into this. So there you can say it's mature, but here it's still evolving. And we'll see. I mean, I think that's the fun also, to see where it goes.
Exactly.
And it also says that you never know, because we always assume that India might take a certain direction that the West has, but many times we just choose
our own
do
thing.
things.
Exactly.
Like if you think about banking and all, right? Like how UPI just
Change
changed.
the narrative.
Right.
So similar to that, I mean, there are some behavioral things when it comes to a lot of the supplements and all that. We don't know how it will kind of pivot.
And
Exactly.
अलग चीज ये है कि मशरूम, मैंने से मशरूम लोगों को लगता है कि खाने वाली चीज है, पर जैसे प्लांट्स को देखोगे तो उसमें प्लांट से जो आप खाते हैं, जो वेजिटेबल्स हैं, और अलग प्लांट से जो इंग्रेडिएंट है,
हाँ.
राइट? लाइक स्टीविया आप तो आप खाते नहीं है, पर स्टीविया तो प्लांट है,
Right.
और वो उसका
Sugar free tablet.
शुगर फ्री टैबलेट, बेवरेजेस. तो मशरूम में भी अलग अलग मशरूम से जो खाते हैं और जिसका अलग
Extracts
यूज होता है फॉर डिफरेंट थिंग्स. सम ऑफ देम हैव एंटी माइक्रोबियल प्रॉपर्टीज, राइट? तो उसको प्रिजर्वेटिव की तरह यूज करते हैं लोग.
Right.
There are some which have health benefits. So let's say that you're adding some amla extract to give you antioxidants. You can replace that with another mushroom extract. So functional benefit वाले mushrooms भी है, जो अलग अलग एक्टिव इंग्रेडिएंट की तरह अलग कैटेगरीज में जा सकता है. जैसे फंक्शनल फूड एंड बेवरेज, राइट? एक्टिव कॉस्मेटिक्स, देन एनिमल फीड, राइट? सो दे हैव अ लॉट ऑफ व्हाट यू से एंटीमाइक्रोबियल प्रॉपर्टीज. और अभी आजकल लोग चाहते हैं कि उनका जो मीट आ रहा है वो एंटीबायोटिक फ्री है. So they have to feed the poultry or the fish feed which have these natural antibiotics in them. Some of the ones which are going to be used now have mushrooms in them. तो industrial applications काफी सारे हैं.
Yes.
Wide है काफी.
Wide.
बहुत wide है. So the ingredient play is much larger than mushroom as a height, like just as a main product.
Right.
And people don't realize this.
So do you think it's difficult to educate urban population regarding mushroom? Has it been challenging?
Challenging, I would say yes,
Yes.
because food is a very, very emotional and very cultural thing. Nobody eats something because it's good for them unless a doctor tells them this. अगर डॉक्टर ने बोला है ये खा लो तो खा लेंगे,
आँख बंद करके खा लेंगे.
आँख बंद करके खा लेंगे. But other stuff you don't eat because your parents never cooked it. तो काफी सारे लोग हैं जो मशरूम खाते नहीं क्योंकि उनको लगता है कि वो नॉन वेजिटेरियन है, right? And these are educated people, mind you, right? This just that we cannot educate everybody, right? I can put the information out there, but I can't change everyone's behavior. So as a company, startup, that is why your customer segmentation becomes very important, because you cannot sell this to everybody.
It's not happening.
Yeah, it's great if I can sell this to all vegetarians because they all need protein.
Right.
But we have to target the low-hanging fruit.
Right.
The ones where we can do a targeted campaign and I know that with this they'll buy it. Because अरे अगर लाइफ में मशरूम खाया नहीं है and for religious reasons आपको लगता है कि मशरूम नॉन वेजिटेरियन है, आप मेरा कस्टमर नहीं है. I should not focus on you because like you have people in your product life cycle curve, right? These are the laggards. They'll only come when the doctor tells them this.
Exactly.
So the early adopters are the people who are risk takers, people who want to do something new. And for us, it was people who have traveled abroad, people who had been exposed to Asian cuisine,
Right.
जहाँ पे उन्होंने अलग-अलग mushrooms already try किया है.
Or are into sort of alternative ways of healing. For example, they're not, there are many people like that. And the good thing is in India, we've never been in this place where we were only made to have allopathy. From a very young age, traditionally, our grandparents would give us kadhas and kashayas and all of that.
अभी भी बीमार पड़ता है तो
काढ़ा लेते
काढ़ा ही
हैं.
लेते हैं. तो हाँ.
So we're okay with trying something other than that. So this seems, so that way also there are the easier ways to navigate it. But yeah, I think what Jashid said is what, we can't, there are challenges, there will be people, but you have to kind of figure out the niche. Yeah.
And awareness and education continue
Used
to
to
be
be very
a
important.
very large part of our work.
Right. So, how do you plan to scale this awareness? I know that you guys are doing variety of work right now. So, do you have any plans of future plans that like we will do this to grow or to get to the right kind of consumer?
Right. So I think this is a very important question, interesting question, and tricky question also, because while I was saying this, one thing is some things don't scale,
Hmm.
right? Some things don't scale, and it requires that one-on-one interaction.
Right.
So there are certain things that we are doing which don't scale, which we'll continue to do, like foraging walks. We can only take 20 people, right?
It's also not sustainable. You can't take hundreds of people,
It's irresponsible to take 100 people inside a forest.
yes.
नहीं कर सकता ऐसे, right?
or even in a community park in your city.
Because you'll stamp on it, 100 लोग उसको उठा लेंगे, फिर कुछ बचा नहीं रहेगा बाकी लोगों को देखने के लिए. पर foraging walk बहुत important है. So in foraging walk, what we do is we take people to a natural place like a park or maybe like a trek, and we go with an expert who will teach you how to identify, how to look for where to find mushrooms.
Okay.
And it's the most exciting activity that we do, and it's sold out almost. If we put out a poster, by tomorrow it's sold out.
Wow.
Because people want to spend time outdoors, right? They want to learn from nature, in nature.
Right.
And we feel like in that first half an hour, बच्चे बन जाते सब. फर्स्ट दे आर लिटिल स्कैर्ड कि अरे वो मतलब पत्थर के नीचे हाथ डाल रहा है, पूरा इधर मिट्टी है, ये है, वो है. And then before you know it, 1 घंटे के बाद सब बुला रहे हैं, अरे इधर आओ, ये मिला है, and then here, see this, what is this?
Right.
You all become children in 1 hour. And for us to see that, it's amazing, right? And it's a very powerful experience to be in nature, to get your hands dirty, to see these things, learn from that.
Right.
ये अगर मैं प्रेजेंटेशन बना के क्लास में सिखाएगा तो इम्पैक्ट तो नहीं
नहीं,
मिलेगा,
उतना नहीं हो पाएगा.
right? So we do a mix of both. There's a large scalable side of this where we tie up with the university, where an expert goes there and delivers a 2-hour presentation, right? Where they can learn. And there are courses that I do online with platforms which teach, let's say, organic farming, right? So I have a module specifically for organic mushroom cultivation, where, see, again, they are not going to buy my product, but I'm teaching people how to grow mushrooms. And in that process, I'm able to teach them what they are, what is the health benefit, right? And indirectly, it's building this demand, because if you are going to be a farmer who wants to grow mushrooms, you are going to promote it.
Exactly.
Right? And it is at such a nascent stage that I cannot sit here saying that, oh, feel insecure and say, I will not share this or I will keep all my customers to myself. Too small for that now.
Somebody told me that whatever you have, either product or service, don't sell directly when you're talking to somebody.
Right.
Help them and they might be your customer.
Right. Sales is just an outcome.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
If you give people the right information to make that decision and help them in the decision making process, they can do it themselves. And if your product is good and you've given them the right information, then you don't have to worry. You're going to come on top anyway.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So again, coming back to the question, there are things that we are doing which cannot be scaled. There are large-scale online virtual things that we are doing which can be scaled. But we also want to work with the government.
Right.
Think of a nationwide campaign. जैसे होता था ना हमारे बचपन में, संडे हो या मंडे रोज खाओ अंडे. What people don't understand is that ये है ना हमारे हेल्थ के लिए नहीं बनाया था कैंपेन. सबको पता था कि अंडे में ये सब चीजें हैं.
Right.
क्या हुआ था, पोल्ट्री रेवोल्यूशन हुआ था इंडिया में. काफी सारे लोगों ने फार्म सेटअप किए थे. पर उस टाइम पे इंडिया में हमारा एग का कंजप्शन ऐसा होता था कि संडे हफ्ते में एक बार खाएगा, या जब कोई गेस्ट आता है तो उस टाइम खाएगा. इट वाज समथिंग वेरी स्पेशल.
Right.
रोज तो नहीं खाते थे कोई. हाउ डू यू चेंज दैट बिहेवियर? उन्होंने क्या किया, नेशन वाइड कैंपेन बनाया. People started eating more eggs. Farmers also benefited. Everybody's health improved. Win-win.
Right.
तो ऐसे एक top down awareness drive for increasing mushroom consumption has to happen in India.
Right.
And this is something that we are working on, not just as a company, but
As a community.
as a community. All the mushroom growers, the big brands, big names inside this, we're coming together to write a petition to the PMO to have a nationwide campaign to promote mushroom consumption.
And I have saw the photos, and Nikhil Kamath has also attended the
Yes,
walk.
yes.
So how did that happen, and how was the experience?
It was really funny actually. If I say this, most people will laugh at me if I say this. So honestly, we didn't notice that he was there because
We were very, so the thing is, that particular walk, we didn't have, like, it was only two of us
Okay.
and one more person and the crowd was big. Like, it was 25, that's the max we do. But that's big for us. So we were very immersed in the walk and we didn't realize he was on the walk till much later because he joined later.
Yeah, because we saw him and see what happens when you see somebody's face many times is जब आगे आता है ना ऐसे लगता है कि तुम जानते हो उनको हाँ
You think like शायद से कहीं देखा होगा.
they look familiar
Right.
and then our co-founder came and he's like, hey, that guy's come for our like walk before or something because I feel like I've seen him somewhere.
And
Realization नहीं हुआ कि
Right.
this is Nikhil Kamath and then we finished the whole walk. Nobody spoke to him. We didn't say, I didn't realize because I was back and we were looking for mushrooms.
the walk gets a bit like hectic for us because we have to find the mushroom, then bring the people, explain. There's a lot of like
organizing,
right?
because it's a big group. 25 people to manage in a park is not very easy.
Yeah, and then we have beverages, so people are having mushrooms.
And children are there, so we were engrossed in this.
Yeah, so he was there, and then finally in the end of the walk, and then somebody came and said, "Oh, I think that is." And then I said, "Oh, is it?" And by the time we had already clicked the photo, and everybody had dispersed.
Okay.
And then we went home. And we saw a Twitter.
So you didn't talk with him directly?
No, we actually.
That's what I'm saying. It was really funny because we were so busy and engrossed in the walk that we didn't realize that it was him. And by the time we came to know that he was there, and the walk was over and people had gone. And by the time I reached home, that tweet had blown up.
There was a Twitter.
Somebody from our group who was in the walk clicked a photo and said peak Bangalore moment looking for mushrooms in Carbon Park with Nikhil Kamath.
Yeah, I have seen that tweet actually.
And that tweet just blew up and I started getting calls. And then I just felt very stupid for a good 1 hour because I was like, oh my god, at least I could have said hi.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, I guess, we think of it in two ways. One is, of course, we couldn't talk to him, of course. That was one thing. But the second thing is also that I guess this is what the mushrooms had in plan. Like, you are busy, you're in that world, you're so immersed that sometimes you're not fully aware of what's happening around you, which is also nice because I guess he saw us in our element, like we were in our element and we were really in that whole world that we didn't.
Yeah, and sometimes I feel like when you're popular, again, I have, it's not something I can say, but I feel like when you have too much fame, it's nice to be a nobody for a few hours.
I understand.
Right?
And maybe, and also respecting people's privacy. It's also sometimes they coming here to also be immersed in that
nature
world.
And just spend
He's
some time
come
outside.
to the park to. I think it was a blessing in disguise because it is like he's come to the park to really unwind, to have an experience. In that also, if people come, hi,
photos and
it becomes
too much.
And so also, I think overall it became a very nice walk for him and for us also. So that's how it was.
I think he saw you guys, that you are so engaged in your element. So that's a good thing for you also, right?
Absolutely. Because we were focused on giving the attendees a good experience.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I think that's what we've really been doing. And I keep telling Jashid this, that even though we've done these walks, we've done these workshops, every single time that we do it, we have to show up like it's the first time. And we have to do it in a way that, because you never know this person, how they've experienced mushrooms before. You never know where they've, so give them that experience so that they'll never forget. So that's how we always approach it, because it can be, after you do many years of the same thing, you might get worn out. There's ego, there's this, there's that, boredom. You feel like, this is beneath. It's not like that. It's not like that, because you have to represent that honesty and authenticity, because if you are the person giving this experience, they need to know that you're there fully. You're not trying to, you're fully with them and you want to give them that experience. So I would say.
And I think your customer can see through you.
Right.
Of course.
Absolutely. People think that, you can get away with a lot of this marketing and gimmicks, but everybody's smart.
Yeah.
Everybody sees everything. Right. And we say that, great campaigns can help you sell the first product, but if the product is not doing what it's supposed to do, they're not coming back.
Exactly.
I would say not even half. 90% of the people who have a bad experience with the product will not tell you. You would have lost them without knowing. That's the most dangerous part. When they come back to you, you can make some changes and at least win them back. But most of the folks, if they have a bad experience, they'll just leave. They'll not do it again. That's it. Simple.
Okay, so what is Shroom Sabha? And you guys had, I think, 2.0 last year.
Yeah,
Yes.
2024 was the second edition.
Right.
Yeah.
So what is and how was the experience?
Okay.
So the Shroom Sabha is like a collective. It's of multiple, like one, of course, Nuvedo is part of it and we are in our individual capacities, but we're also connected with a lot of other brands and foragers
And individuals.
across the country, from Delhi, from Kerala, and we all came together at about 10, 11 of us 2 years ago, where we said, let's give this, make a 4-day experience for people to be fully immersed into the world of fungi. So from mushroom workshops to identification to understanding about cooking with mushrooms to microscopy, photography.
So think like an academic festival and a music festival. They came together and had a baby. That's basically what Shroom Sabha is. Because you're in nature, you're in the middle of a forest, you're in a resort. There's over 100, 150 people living there. All 3 meals are meals which we have curated with the help of a chef.
Okay.
And produce. Every day is a showcase of farm produce from different mushroom farm.
Right.
So each person is able to send their best product to be showcased.
So we have farms in Delhi who have, put mushroom produce there. We have farms in
From
Bangalore. So all across, and all these individuals, like these mushroom farms, these individuals, whoever have come together for us, the idea was to bring a very holistic experience regarding mushrooms. It's not just to be saying
Academic.
it's academic, nor is it just foraging. To show that the world of mushrooms is so wide that you can find entry points anywhere.
Right.
Maybe I like to just eat mushroom. Maybe I like to learn about it. Maybe I want to get into cooking. So how do you kind of show different avenues for them to get? So this year was very, the last 2 years we did both editions in Wayanad.
Right.
It was in Kerala. This year, hopefully we'll move it to another location. And the idea is to also work with different geographies so that we see different kinds of mushrooms in the country, right? So if somebody's coming to Shroom Sabha the second time, they get to see a different biodiversity, a different mushroom,
But again, at the end, heart of it, it's about education, awareness, and community.
Yeah.
Because there are a lot of people who really are into mushrooms, but they are just alone in their group because they can't share it.
Exactly.
So they come in search of the other crazy people who are into this, and then we give them a space where they can learn and have fun learning. Because I feel like now you have to drink alcohol or go to a party and dance or do all of these things to basically have fun. And I'm not saying there's any right or wrong inside this, but this is also to put forward different ways that people can come together and have fun in a more healthy fashion. Right? It's infotainment. If you look at the marketing side of this, why are we doing this? We are giving people, we are educating and making them aware of mushrooms in a very fun manner without being intimidating.
And I think it's a one of a kind of an experience, right? And
Absolutely.
we all are here to have some kind of experience in this.
Yeah.
Right. And we have foreign collaborators. So we have a lot of the mushroom community globally is very connected.
Okay.
So every year, these last 2 years, we have had speakers from coming from US to share what is happening there.
Okay.
So this is for everybody. So even if you're a mushroom entrepreneur, if you come there, you'll make connections in the industry.
Right.
You will hear about what's happening abroad, and you get to interact with the consumer. So for everybody in the ecosystem, from an academician to a mushroom lover or just curious, there's something for everybody.
Yeah.
Right. And who is the organizer of this? I mean, it's a community effort again.
It's a collective.
Effort.
Yeah, it's not just Nuvedo. We wanted to keep it separate.
Right.
Yeah.
This is a personal project where the community members who are in this, who are passionate, who have businesses, some are just really into mushrooms.
Right.
All of us as individuals have come together
Artists.
to put this forward.
Okay. Do you think community is a very important aspect of any business?
Not every business.
Okay.
But a business, like I would say, if a business has a brand associated with it or something to do with, I would say health and wellness, where we're in, I think definitely community becomes a big part of it but not every business. I would say, tech, it depends on the kind of tech, right? I would say for something like, I don't know what could be the alternative, but
I think I can give you an example. As a Monument, as a brand, we are also, running different kinds of event.
Yeah.
And I understand that if you want to become a brand, you need to, have these kind of events.
Right.
Yeah.
So people will relate you with what you are doing,
Yeah.
right? We organize founder circle in Delhi
Right.
right now.
Right.
Right.
So that's why the question, like how important it is for any brand.
Right. I feel like everybody now, communities again become one of those things that everybody wants to do.
Right.
But I feel like the most important thing is you have to give them real value.
Exactly.
Yes.
We are not here to sell Nuvedo to them, right? They come to our community because they want to learn about mushrooms, right? And they find a random mushroom somewhere. They want someone to tell them, ki, what is it? They're using the product and something happened, or they want to try something with it. So they'll come back and they'll ask us this question, and maybe somebody else who's tried this can answer. So we are trying to solve real world problems and create real value for people in the community. And I feel like only in that context, if there is some real utility and real value, do communities even make sense? Because community for the sake of community you can build, but it'll just be a number on the screen. There won't be any engagement. There will be nothing happening. There won't be any reason for them to come back. But I feel if you're doing something where they're learning or we're adding some value to their life, then it makes sense to our community.
I think whatever we are doing, we should first give value,
Yeah.
and then anything we
Exactly.
expect
Like
in
over
return.
and above, like that's why I said I think I was thinking about how to answer that question, because sometimes if I'm thinking from my lens that I might not want to join some communities because I don't feel like there's value in there is it just feels sometimes repetitive. But even if it's repetitive, can you pick and choose some parts of it and be very specific, go deeper into it? Because when we build communities, we want to just keep it surface level, and then we don't want to go deeper and see what are take feedback, what do
Pain
communities
points of the
yeah, and
clients or
like,
customers.
why are they coming back? Why are they constantly want to hang out with each other? Why are they, is it just to give some random topic and run 10 events in a month? No, it's about to say in each event, how can you expand their own learning or the wider.
Create genuine value for the customer essentially, right? It's not about selling.
Yeah.
If you're creating the community with the broad objective of selling more things, then it's not going to work. People will see through it, right? It has to solve something for them. There has to be some genuine value that you're adding into their life through this. Then, like I said, sales is just an outcome of doing the right things.
Right.
But if that is the objective, then people see right through you.
Exactly. So let's talk about Shark Tank a little bit. How was your experience on the show? And unfortunately, you guys didn't raise any funding. So are you on track to raise any money right now? Have you raised? So just let's get into it.
Shark Tank was a very, I think valuable experience in terms of the way, it was conducted, the process, all the things we learned in the whole thing, and also the kind of feedback we got, especially with the back end team. I'm saying when we were, there evaluating our pitches, all of that. I think it was really like a nice understanding of how the industry works. I'm talking about media industry, also understanding about how this whole like a system works. So I think it was very helpful for both of us. Challenging, of course, because
Stressful also.
It was all of those things. Like we've never been used to being on camera, TV, being mic'd. So all of that, I think that part of it was, learning again, challenging, and
Speaking in Hindi.
Right.
was very tricky for me personally. But I would say, it did what it had to do. It kind of put mushrooms on the forefront. It helped a lot of brands in India, like mushroom farmers, other people who were in their different pockets. So I think it kind of opened up the question of mushrooms itself. Forget Nuvedo, just in terms of like what the conversation we had.
Yeah, again, education and awareness.
So
on a national platform.
Yeah, so I think that for us was very important to give a platform for mushrooms to be able to have a thing. And I think in terms of fundraising, we're on some track to do it. I think this year is where we probably would look at a fundraise. But as of last year, we wanted to, fine tune our operations, align strategy a little more, get our product up to a place where we feel confident about each of the different varieties we're working with. And so maybe this year we will.
Because I feel like funding also has become buzzword.
Yeah.
Sabko chahiye funding, but this is not true. Not
You
everybody
can be
needs.
profitable brands. right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and money has to come to you at the right stage, or it can kill your business. It can make you lazy. थोड़ा वो grit or resilience आता है जब stress होता है. When things are not happening, when you have to pull up your socks, and that's when you have all these deep insights about your business. If you're just blasting somebody else's money, you don't feel it sometimes, right?
Right. You are not innovating. Yeah.
No.
And we truly believe, like, and that's something I've told a lot of people in our team, is that constraints bring out creativity. If you're a little constrained, slightly tight, it's also allowing you to be a little creative. However, you can't extend that constraint. You can't say that I'll be constrained for 5 years. No. I mean, at least in the beginning stages, it's important to be constrained. So you know that when I do get an inflow, how can I use it in a wisely?
Right.
Yeah.
Like if you're building a marketing funnel, let's say, right? You have to get the funnel right before you start putting a lot of people at the top. So that's what we did. The last 3 years, we're building the funnel to make sure that we focus on the bottom of the funnel and make sure that every aspect of it we target and make sure the conversion is right. Now it's just about how many people can you put into it.
Inside
the money makes sense now. Last 3 years, we are figuring this out. You said no. Did the PMF happened now? It took us 4 years to actually crack this, put it into the market, and it's not tech. People have to use this for a few months to see if it's working.
Yeah, I mean, I completely would change my answer if it was tech.
This is not for tech. What we're saying is for building something
real products, real value, real.
Not talking about tech.
Yeah.
This doesn't apply there.
Yeah, because in tech it is true. Maybe you could add more people. It could be faster. You can iterate quicker. You can run many experiments. But in a thing that takes time to grow, it takes time to extract. There's only a certain bandwidth that you can allocate to it. So think about it like that. And I think even for new entrepreneurs coming in, what are you building? What kind of product are you building? And does it really need funding now? Or can you manage for a while without it to really understand if this is something that, will work? So personally, I feel funding is something that, I have been a little bit not always promoting. I feel like it is something that you can figure out a business without it till a certain point.
Exactly.
Yeah. And you should do it so that you yourself also become a lot more resilient. You're also able to handle a lot of risks so that when you have funds, it's okay. It's a comfortable,
you will
cushion.
spend on different things.
And it's a cushion, you're comfortable. But can you manage the downs? When we think of entrepreneurship, media will only talk about the ups.
Glamorize all the positives.
Yeah, but the downs are where you have to pick up and come back.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And this is what we were saying yesterday, that if you see a business is doing well, you will quickly jump on the business idea, but with the success, you're copying all the failures also. Which you don't see.
Which you don't know.
And you will also end up doing the same things wrong. And then you have to figure it out on your own because they already have. They've surpassed it. If they're in the market for so many years, they have failed.
Right.
They've failed, they've made mistakes, they've learned, and they've pulled up their socks and they've moved ahead.
Right.
If you're going to copy their business, all that is going to come to you too. You better be prepared for that.
Exactly. There is a saying which says like that, which goes like that. It says you can copy someone's idea, but you can't copy their passion.
Correct.
So that is true, because if you will copy their idea, you don't know where they have failed and how many times they have failed.
Yeah.
And once that failure hits you, you will pack your bags and leave.
Correct. Because you've seen so many brands in this space who came and left. And they were all white labeling products from China.
Yes.
Right? So, yeah, we are still here and we are still growing.
Kudos to you guys. You have put around like 4 years in this brand to figure it out, like this is our product market fit. This is how we are going to keep moving forward. That really says something
Thank you
about
so
you
much.
guys.
Yeah, thanks a lot. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Okay. So, Shark gave you their feedback, right? Did you have a chance to improve upon your product using their feedback? Did you pivot it something? So how does that happen?
So I feel like what Piyush said was correct.
Okay.
India is not ready for this yet, right? We are building for India, but he said that that's going to take some time. So in the meantime, I think you all should focus on exports.
Right.
So after he gave us that feedback, the last 1 year, we had invested some of our time and efforts into getting the certifications, getting the product quality up to the point where it can match international standards. And that took some time, but that was, I think, the most valuable feedback that we got, that please look at places where this will be more appreciated.
Right, right. I mean, that's the beauty of feedback, right?
Yeah,
If you
yeah.
can take feedback from a lot of people, some would be very beneficial to you.
Absolutely.
And that's why I think you need to, keep an open mind about feedback.
Absolutely. I
Correct.
think I think without feedback, and if nobody is giving you feedback, something's wrong.
Something.
Because if you're not having any feedback, either this doesn't work at all,
Or they're scared to give you feedback.
feedback.
Right? Not everybody is open to feedback.
Exactly.
And there's a tendency to be emotionally attached to the idea, right? Because this is your baby, you're building this, and suddenly you hear something bad about it. You don't want to think it's real, but it takes a certain level of emotional maturity to step back and say, I'm going to do what is required for the business, right? So I feel like taking feedback also is
Very important.
very important.
What personal habits or things that keep you both motivated towards we have to build this into a brand?
Personal habits.
Yeah.
Okay. I think for me, I'm definitely a very active person. Without an active lifestyle, like I am a yoga teacher as well.
Okay.
So I teach in the mornings. And last year, I took a little bit of a 6-month break in terms of teaching. But my practice, and I think that has really kept me super, balanced, and I'm able to be the best version of myself by keeping myself active. So I think a good active lifestyle, but also good nutrition, food. At the end of the day, that is the only habit that you have to really focus on, is what I think, for anybody to be self-motivated. Because nobody is giving you motivation. You have to figure it out every day yourself. You have to wake up in the morning and say, I'm going to do this. And for me, the one thing that pushes me into it is exercise, some sort of movement, or swimming. So these are the things that I would say is a habit that.
Right. For you?
I think I agree with Prithvi on that. So I feel like having a healthy lifestyle, because I went down the other path. I didn't take care of myself for 1 year. When things are getting stressful, I stopped everything. And my health deteriorated, and then my work suffered, right? It's a very bad loop.
Right.
So I feel like everything starts with you. You are one of the foundations on which people are getting their energy and their motivation from to build this, right? And like Prithvi said rightly, there's nobody coming to motivate you. You have to have it internally.
Exactly.
And that almost always comes from having a healthy body and mind.
Healthy body.
That helps you stick to the plan and keep moving. But I would also like to say that for me, it's important that I keep my passion alive, right? And work can get very monotonous, right? Sometimes you can quickly forget the reasons why you started this, because you get caught up in the numbers and the day-to-day stuff. So I feel like having passion projects inside this, keeping yourself up to date, reading things, and having those side projects and side books and things, whatever is something which is maybe not directly related to this.
This is very, very good. You can say takeaway, because I have been there. I have been, building my business from past 10 years, you could say. And recently I started, conducting this Money Mint meetup, founders meetup.
Right.
And it was a very good experience for me. I'm not doing it for money.
Right.
I'm just doing it out of passion. And so that is keeping me motivated to keep at it. Like, okay, we will figure it out together.
Yeah, community.
It's exactly what you're saying, man. Like, I feel like you need to be connected to the thing through another thing which is not tied to business. जहाँ पे stress नहीं है, where you still love it, where that love for whatever you're doing is still there, and the curiosity is there, and you can feed that part without the stress of having to build a business from it. I feel like having that part alive is very important, because that'll keep you innovating, it'll keep you motivated, it'll keep you connected to this, and it'll keep you going forward with that same level of energy.
Okay, 3 things that you both have learned from your entrepreneurial journey in the past 4 years.
Each.
It's fine, you can just say.
Yeah, okay. So I would say, first, I think if to be an entrepreneur, you have to be okay with risks. Like, I think it's not that you take uncalculated risks, take calculated risks, but little bit risk taking has to be there. Your appetite for uncertainty of that you don't know is to be there, because you can't know everything. Everything will never be written on a map, and it'll never sometimes work that way. Yeah, it will be calculated to some extent, but I think the level of comfort with risk and uncertainty needs to be there. So I think if you're somebody who just can't handle uncertainty, I don't
It's not for you.
it's not for you, because it is going to be a lot of
Inherently, it is uncertain.
Exactly.
So I would say that is one. The second thing would be takeaway. Yeah, I would say is that try to don't make big plans. Create smaller goals that can be very much attained. That is, you have a big goal somewhere.
Have a big dream, but
Break it
minor
down.
steps.
Yeah, make smaller steps that don't feel so intimidating. That feel like, I can perhaps achieve this in these many days, and it seems like I can do it. We'll see. After that step happens, we'll see. Rather than making these huge plans and then feeling demotivated and when it doesn't happen. And also to that, I just wanted to add that on a day, if you decide to do 10 things and you can't do 10, even if you did 4, it's fine.
It's still a win.
Yeah, it's a big win,
Yeah.
and that's a really big win for you, because you always have these 10 dreams. Your list never ends. That's how your brain works. You'll keep adding things, and that's how entrepreneurship happens. But even if you did 4, maybe on the next day you will do 14.
Yeah.
And I think
Because of the motivation, right?
motivation level.
Keeps coming going.
And motivation is the way I feel, and I think that could be my last point, is that a great point is that play with your motivation. If today my motivation is slightly low, don't be hard on yourself. Say, okay, it's low.
Do easy tasks.
Yeah.
Exactly. Do something really easy. Do the bare minimum, just the hygiene functions. Uske baad, next day you might be at a motivation 100,
peak.
and then go for it. Like, pump in all the energy and kill it. And also, I think with entrepreneurship, and don't ever percolate this to your team. If you have a way of working, and maybe you're very motivated on a Sunday, I don't know, but do your work for yourself, but maintain structure for the rest of the team. Like, maybe you have like fluctuating levels of motivation, but don't percolate that into other people in your thing. Say, keep that fluctuating level for yourself, but maintain structure for others. Holding space for others, but in your life, maybe you want to do whatever, it's fine, but hold space for others while varying your. That is, I would say.
Beautiful advice. Yeah.
So building where Prithvi left off, I think the first learning for me is that there is no perfect moment. Nothing will always be right. So sometimes you just have to launch things, right? And fix it when it breaks. Put it out there, get the feedback, because I feel like if you keep adding features and keep making something better, you will never have the perfect product, because there's nothing like that. It's not always that the best product is what sells, right?
There is a saying I say, always launch with version 1.0 and then keep building on that.
Correct. Launch it. Don't worry. Only you know what you're building.
Right.
So put it out there and get the feedback. So there is no perfection. Don't strive for it. Just get things out there. And the second thing I would say is, I think, take care of yourself, right? Hustle culture is overhyped. If you burn out, then this thing is going with you, right? So prioritize your health and wellness first. Everything can be, but yeah, there are those times when you won't be able to sleep and you have too much work. Those regular, that cannot be a regular affair. One off is fine. You can have those days where you have to like grind and really do it, stay up all night and get things done. But I feel like that should not be the kind of work culture you're promoting, because it's not sustainable, right? And the third thing I would say is delegate. You cannot do everything.
Right.
If you are stuck in operations, you lose the bird's eye view of where this thing is going. I know you are a perfectionist and you might want everything done a certain way, but you have to trust people. You have to let them make mistakes. You have to give them those things and let them own it. You cannot micromanage it once you've given it to them.
Right.
Unko apna kaam karne de. Trust them, and if they make a mistake, train them, invest in those people, but delegate, because without delegation, you're not going anywhere. You'll just be in that same loop. So yeah, these 3 things.
That's a very beautiful answer. Have you guys ever faced burnout in your entrepreneurial journey till now?
You wanna go?
Yeah,
You have.
regularly.
Regularly. So how do you recover from that? Is there a way?
I would just take a break,
Okay.
right?
Hmm.
I feel like spending time in nature and disconnecting from this, because there's always this guilt with founders have that, oh, I can't take a break. How can I take a break? Baki sab log
Founders
kaam kar
guilt.
rahe hai.
Founders. guilt.
Everybody's working, so I should also be working. You're a human being first, right? Then you have other relationships. You're somebody's friend, somebody's husband, brother, father. There are so many things. And there's other aspects of you. Suddenly you're just wearing this badge which says founder. Forget about that for some time. Focus on yourself. Do the things that give you real joy.
Right.
Switch off your phone for a few days and just immerse yourself in nature. Just spend time with yourself doing the things that you love.
Right.
And give your time to sort of recalibrate and come back. And these passion projects also on the side help you stay out of burnout.
Yeah, I would say I think burnout for me would be slightly different. I think I would have said that maybe 3 years ago that go to nature, be alone. But I think now in this last year, the way I've kind of tackled it is one, I think is just digital detox a little bit. Just take that, throw that phone somewhere. But more than that, I would say, spending time with people who are totally out of your circle.
Friends, you can.
If not even friends.
Okay.
Like not friends, because friends again, you're talking the same
They'll
thing.
ask you about your business.
Oh, kaisa hai, wo hai. You, I mean, you don't want someone who has nothing to do with you right now. Like find completely new people, and like, because then you get into a totally different world. Your brain is not talking, you're not in, neither are you Nuvedo's identity, you're not this mushroom identity. You've just met them in a new experience. So I would say I met some very interesting people last year, and which were, of course, went in through mushrooms, but I would say that I was exposed to a whole different world, like art and culture and like all of that. And I think that kind of totally gives you a break, because you're also in your mind switching to a different thing, something that has nothing to do with you. Because as a founder, you think, oh, I should do something connected to my business. I should go have that meeting. Everything should be connected.
What you're doing.
Exactly. But it's actually to give your brain a break. Truly a break is to do something totally random. Just do something that
have a fully new experience that you've never had
before. And I think that is, for me, I think a really good way to switch gears, literally.
And I think that recognizing burnout is very important, because people don't realize they're burned out till they're like at the end of their fully trashed. Then to pick it up is way harder than when you start having those symptoms. Don't push yourself. Stop there and recognize it when it's starting itself, and then make yourself bounce back fast, rather than waiting till, which most of us tend to do, is wait till the last moment when you have no other option and then do it. It's just not good.
Okay. So what are your future plans regarding Nuvedo? I mean, what's the current year look like? One, you have already told us that you are planning to export the product.
Right.
Apart from that, what about India, and have you started exporting, or you are yet to export it to other countries?
We're still to start export. I think that's the plan for this year. But this year is going to be the year of collaborations. So we said that, there's going to be symbiosis 2025, where there's, mutual relationships that are going to be made. So collaborating with other brands, collaborating with other ingredient players, working very closely with other communities, because what would be a natural course for a brand to do after a certain, they have these list of products, expand, make new products,
keep making new SKUs,
right? But we want to work with the strengths of other brands in the country. So work with some of the best brands in different spaces and work into bringing new mushroom-based products. So
those categories.
That would be our larger goal for this year. Of course, export will be one of it. And I think also from a point of view of community building, we want to be able to create a larger wellness community with mushrooms. We've been already doing that last year. We've been doing this set of events called Wellness Odysseys. It's like mushroom-based wellness events. So we want to kind of expand that a little more. So I think that would be where we...
The future plans. It's great. From what I understand, it's currently an online product right now. We can order, it's a D2C product, you can say.
Right.
Is there any plan to expand in offline markets?
We already have.
Okay.
But the trick tricky part is that these are not something that will move off the shelf just because somebody sees it. There's a certain level of education and awareness again required at the point of sale. So the tricky part is to identify the right retail partners where people are already coming to buy something like this and where you have a larger chance of conversion rather than just being there just on the shelf. So retail has started, but it's a slow process.
Right. Retail takes time.
Takes
obviously.
time.
It does take time.
What do you recommend aspiring entrepreneurs how they can validate their business idea? What's the best way?
Ask your friends and family, right? And if there's some startup ecosystem that they are part of, there's so many meetups. Just show up there
Right.
and ask people, right? I would say that's the best way.
Why entrepreneurs choose such a difficult path? Because it's a very lonely journey, right? I mean, is it money? Is it fame? Is it passion? Is it something deeper?
I would say I think
Feeling alive.
I think it's the drive.
Yeah.
It's the thrill. I think one thing entrepreneurs all have as a common trait is that they're seeking this sense of excitement, this like passion. They want to feel alive. And I think what I said earlier is, one of the traits you need to have is be open to uncertainty. I think a lot of entrepreneurs, they're not loners, but they don't want a lonely hard journey, but they're looking for excitement. I think that it is
Purpose.
or purpose, and I think it is lonely and challenging, but that's why I think community is so important.
Right.
I will say that I think a lot of the reasons why we've been here for 4 years is because of community. And is only because there's so many people in the mushroom space that we can, talk to, and we come together, we share our, our ups and our downs. And I think if you are a lone ranger in this, it's going to be very hard, I would say. I think really having a community or a support system, and not somebody who's like a friend, but somebody who understands the challenges of the industry and
Why do we choose this? I feel like because it makes you feel more alive, feel more real, more honest with yourself. Because a lot of people come to this because they feel like the time is not being used for anything, consequential. They're making money for somebody and they're doing the things that they've been told to, but they don't feel it. And it's just running on that autopilot where they don't feel a sense of purpose or why am I here? I'm alive, but I don't know what I'm doing with my time. I feel like that existential crisis sort of puts people into entrepreneurship where you're saying, I am going to do this. This is my journey and I have control and I will do this. So I feel like that's one thing. And a lot of people do it because they want to create impact. They want to leave a legacy.
What's the one thing that has worked for you and one thing where you feel like it was a waste of your time or money or energy in the past?
in the entrepreneurial
journey?
I think investing in people who have like they say, it's niyat, mehnat and kabiliyat, right? If they have the right intentions and they want to do something, but they might not have the experience, I feel like most of those cases where I've taken those bets, taken that risk in those people who really wanted something in that time, but they were not experts, almost always it has paid off.
Right.
As compared to places where experts have come on board with a fancy resume and saying this. Many times they don't care about the work that they do, and there's a lot of ego. And I'm saying many times there are people who are really good at what they do also. Right. But what has worked for us is always betting on the underdogs, right? Because they value that trust, and they have the fire to make it happen and make it even better.
Right.
Okay. So I would say I think one thing that has not worked is being inconsistent. Okay. Like if, for example, like I said earlier, is that even if you do 40% of your work and you're not making 100, earlier what I used to do was I used to try to make really big lists and try to achieve all of it, and then I was in a you get into the circle of it didn't happen, and so I would say being consistent, even if it's 20% of the work you're doing, showing up and doing that. So yeah, I think it didn't work in the past where I made these big plans and, big lists, and sort of, it just doesn't happen like that. You're not at 100% every day.
Right.
So I would say that, and I think, I totally agree with Jashid that the people who are putting the energy into the system, whatever the system you're building a tech or whatever, whoever's putting that energy in is very, very crucial. But yeah, so
I think good team can make or break your business.
yeah, 100%. I think we're fully in, that is a big part of what we
Key success factor is your team can make things easier or harder.
And I'm not even saying maybe they'll build the best product. You'll have the best product, but you'll be suffering. In every day is going to be a tricky challenge. So yeah.
So the last question is, what advice you would give to a 20-year-old who is watching this to build a business in today's days and age and time?
Firstly, I would say, there's a Simon Sinek framework that says what, how, why. You have to know the why.
Wise. Yeah.
I mean, I think, it's so generic. People keep hearing it, and this 20-year-old must be saying, oh, again, she's saying the same thing. But I can't stress on it enough, because it is the why. Why are you doing this? What is it about this thing that you want to build? And I would say, ask as many, when you're starting off, don't think that you have this gold of information that nobody else knows.
Right.
Ask multiple people in your circles, talk to older folk, talk to seasoned entrepreneurs, get that bounce back, that feedback, and don't be rigid in your business plan or your structure, because what you might have started off with is not what you might actually build. And, I would say, spend time, don't be impatient to launch something, just kind of spend time in the beginning talking, iterating, like we discussed. I think it really, really helps to make your mind broader and be open to the possibilities of what could be, rather than, maybe at the end of all these things, you might still come back to your idea, which is fine, but at least you explored it, and you gave yourself the chance to do that. And I would also say, when you're thinking about a business, think about yourself also in it, which I think I might do differently now.
Actually,
when I want to answer that, is that initially, we gave everything, we put in so much into it, and we didn't really think about ourselves. And maybe even like drawing a small salary, for example, are you thinking about that? We didn't think about it. And I think that was the learning in a way where, oh my God, we're at a point where we're pretty thin. So maybe we need to draw a small salary, or so I think about yourself, because if you crush, everything's going to crush.
Exactly.
So I would say plan aspects in which you are also sort of able to manage, but don't give yourself the expectations that you would give if you were in a job. You're not.
That is very important.
Maybe you were in a 20. Your first job offered you
30,000.
30,000, right? Be okay with drawing 10 from your company, and allow that 10 to slowly grow to 30, but at least there's 10, so that at least you're okay, something is there and I'm able to. So I would say, don't have crazy expectations.
Right.
But also take care of yourself. So that
I think I have two things to say.
Right.
One is, if you not everybody has to build. Some people have to support.
Right.
You might have a crazy idea. So if someone else is doing something like that, talk to them and see if you can help them. Right?
That's a very good point.
Because it sounds great in your head, but I feel like if you can be part of somebody else's journey and help them, there's a lot of merit in that.
Right.
Being part of somebody else's story is also okay.
Exactly.
Being able to contribute something meaningful where someone else has started this journey is great. You don't need to do it again. Right?
You can probably build something else later on in your future.
Yeah.
Life is big.
And the second thing is, there's a lot of merit in working. Corporate is not all that bad. I know it's been demonized and say, oh, I have sold my soul. And honestly, if I didn't work for those 4 years in corporate, I wouldn't know half the systems and processes that we have implemented in the company. And I find this with a lot of people who started building without working in corporate. They don't know many of the very basic things because those companies have figured it out after 100 years of working. Right? There's a lot of thought that has gone into building these systems and processes. So I feel like even though it might not be lucrative or like fancy, it might not be extremely rewarding. There is a lot of merit working in an organized system because systems and processes are here to stay. They are there for a reason. And if you can understand that early on, I feel like it goes a very long way in building something because you need to build something that can run without you being there. Otherwise, it's going to break.
Right. Thank you so much, guys, for doing this. It was a
Thank you.
learning experience for me personally, and I hope audience does the same. And
Thanks a
it was a very detailed framework how you can build business in India, product market fit, and community building. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you
Aditya.
so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for joining.